In the heart of Egypt's endless desert, beneath mountains of sand and silence, slept a king whose name the world had nearly forgotten. He was once a god on earth, a boy crowned in gold before he could understand the power that came with it. And when he died, his priests sealed his tomb with a warning that echoed through eternity. Death shall come on swift wings to him who disturbs the peace of the king. For over 3,000 years, that warning held true, until the day a man named Howard Carter broke the seal and history itself began to bleed. It was 1922. The world was roaring into a new age, cars, jazz, and skyscrapers. But in Egypt's Valley of the Kings, time stood still. For 5 long years, Howard Carter had searched the desert, convinced that one last royal tomb remained undiscovered, the resting place of the forgotten Pharaoh, Tutankhamun. Everyone thought he was chasing ghosts. His workers were tired. His sponsor, Lord Carnarvon, was running out of patience and money. But Carter refused to quit. He believed something was waiting, something hidden beneath the sand. One morning, under a rising sun that turned the valley red, a young worker's shovel struck something hard, a step carved in ancient stone. Carter brushed away the dust, revealing a staircase descending into darkness. At the bottom, a sealed door, plastered and painted with the royal symbols of a boy king. His heart pounded. He lit a match, and in the glow of that fragile flame, he read a name that would soon haunt the world: Tutankhamun. He sent a message to his sponsor in England. "At last have made wonderful discovery in the valley, a magnificent tomb with seals intact. The world didn't know it yet, but a line had just been crossed, one that had slept, waiting for 3 millennia. Days later, Howard and Carnarvon stood before the tomb's entrance. Carter chipped a small hole in the doorway, and as he peered through, a rush of hot air escaped, air that hadn't been breathed since 1325 BC. Carnarvon, his voice trembling, asked, "Can you see anything?" Carter whispered, "Yes, wonderful things." What lay beyond was not just treasure. It was a time capsule of eternity. Golden statues, chariots, jewels, weapons. A boy king surrounded by the wealth of gods. It was untouched, perfect, sacred. But among the treasures were strange inscriptions, warnings etched in faded hieroglyphs. Death will slay with its wings the one who disturbs the peace of the Pharaoh. Carter laughed. Carnarvon did not, and within months, the laughter stopped. Lord Carnarvon became the curse's first victim. A small mosquito bite on his cheek became infected. Days later, he was dead. At that exact moment, the lights in Cairo flickered and went out. And far away in England, Carnarvon's dog, his loyal companion, howled once, then fell dead. The world went mad. Newspapers called it the Pharaoh's revenge. The legend of the curse was born. Then others began to fall. One of Carter's assistants died of a sudden heart attack. A radiologist who examined the mummy was found dead the next morning. A friend of Carnarvon's took his own life, leaving a note claiming he was haunted by the king's ghost. In the years that followed, more than 20 people connected to the tomb's discovery died mysteriously, some in accidents, others from sudden illness. Coincidence, perhaps, but Egypt had another word for it: justice. Carter tried to stay calm. He worked, studied, cataloged artifacts. He didn't believe in curses. Yet, sometimes, deep inside the tomb, he heard whispers, soft, echoing sounds that made the torches flicker. He told himself it was the wind, but Egypt has very little wind underground. Scientists rushed to explain the curse away. They said the tomb's air might have contained ancient bacteria, spores trapped for centuries, that those who inhaled it were poisoned slowly, unknowingly. It was logical, rational, comforting, but the pattern was too precise to ignore. The ones that died weren't random. They were the ones who had touched what shouldn't have been untouched. Those who broke seals, moved the sarcophagus, or stole artifacts. As if the curse didn't just protect the tomb, it chose its victims. For 3,000 years, Tutankhamun's life had been wrapped in mystery. He wasn't the grand conqueror his ancestors were. He was just a boy when he took the throne, a puppet in a kingdom ruled by priests. He restored the old gods his father had tried to erase, and then, suddenly, he died. No one truly knows how. Some say illness, some say betrayal. Some believe he was murdered by those closest to him, his advisors, the same priests who later buried him. If that's true, then perhaps the curse wasn't superstition. Perhaps it was vengeance, written by loyal hands sworn to protect their murdered king, to ensure that anyone who disturbed his peace would suffer the same fate. Years later, Carter returned to the tomb alone. He was older now, worn down by time and loss. He descended the same stairs he once climbed in triumph. The air was still heavy, the silence unbearable. He stood before the golden coffin and whispered, "I meant no harm." The torchlight flickered, and for just a second, he thought he saw movement, a faint shadow shifting behind the sarcophagus. He turned sharply. Nothing, only the quiet breathing of the tomb. He left that night and never returned again. When Carter died in 1939, the world declared the curse a myth, a coincidence of bad luck and fear. But the whispers didn't stop. When Tutankhamun's mummy was later examined, X-rays revealed something chilling, a wound on the back of his skull, as if he'd been struck from behind. The boy king may have been murdered, and his curse, maybe not a myth, but a message from beyond the grave. Even decades later, strange things kept happening. In 1972, Tutankhamun's treasures were flown to London for an exhibition. Mid-flight, the plane hit a violent lightning storm. Its wing struck, its engine failing briefly mid-air. It landed safely, but not without shaking everyone aboard. Days later, a museum worker who handled the sarcophagus fell sick and died unexpectedly. No one could explain it. No bacteria, no mold, no proof, just patterns and silence. Egyptians say the dead never truly die. Their spirits live in their names, in their monuments, in the weight of their stories. To disturb a pharaoh is not to unearth a body, it is to awaken a god. And gods, even forgotten ones, do not forgive easily. Today, Tutankhamun's mask sits behind glass in the Cairo Museum, gleaming under soft light. Millions visit it every year. They stare into the golden face, the calm eyes that have seen empires rise and fall. But when the museum grows quiet and the lights dim, guards say they feel something, a chill that wasn't there before, a faint whisper, too low to catch, a pulse in the air, as if the king is still breathing, still watching. Maybe Tutankhamun finally rests. Or maybe he waits, patient as the desert itself, for the next man who dares to disturb his eternal sleep. For 3,000 years, Egypt kept its silence. It warned us in stone, in whispers, in prophecy. But we didn't listen. We never do. The Pharaoh's curse may never be proven. Science may explain the deaths, the timing, the fear. But deep down, in that space between faith and logic, something still stirs. Some doors are sealed, not to protect what's inside, but to protect us from it.